Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. Speaking to you here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas, and I'm going over the year 1972 when it comes to music. Recently on my channel, on a live stream, me and my three friends, Nick, Breyer, and Scott, we did our top 10 albums of 1972. And so I always like to do a video kind of talking about what happened in the year of 1972 in music and showing some research anyways to get some perspective on what was going on during this time period. But overall, pretty good year of music, some really great albums. Not as good in 1971. 71 is definitely the greatest year probably ever. And there's some other really great years in the 70s. And this is definitely another strong year. For me, you got some great folk music, some great singer-songwriter music, some great singer-songwriters really are being some of my favorite of the year. Also, some more soft rock music, I think, and some hard rock. I mean, we still do have Black Sabbath here and Deep Purple and stuff like that. So you do have the hard rock still being very popular. In fact, my friends put a lot of hard rock stuff on their list more than I do. I put more soft rock on my list, like Bread, like Steely Dan, I would call more soft rock, maybe yacht rock, you can call it. I do enjoy that music. So there's some good stuff like that on here as well. And also a lot of glam rock seems to be very popular, especially with David Bowie and Ziggy Stardust. He does his whole changing, like he had like one big hit before this, I think, and then this album kind of changes his kind of style and his look. He puts on this makeup and this costume and plays this character Ziggy Stardust, which he was very well known for at this time. And when I think of David Bowie, I always think of the Ziggy Stardust persona. Definitely very flamboyant. Definitely this is like peak like glam rock period. As we got some other glam rock bands too coming out this time, like Mott the Hoople, I believe, came out with an album maybe at this time, and T-Rex and all that. But you can't forget Lou Reed as well, kind of part of that glam rock era. So glam rock also very popular at this time period, and yeah, so we got some big albums to talk about. And I like to go through the top 10 best-selling albums 1972, kind of give you a sense of what people were buying in this year. Number one actually goes to a Greatest Hits album. That is Simon Garfunkel Greatest Hits, which I find interesting because they broke up in 1970, so it's 2 years later they came out with Simon Garfunkel's Greatest Hits, because they only came out with 5 albums, so it was a pretty quick in and out, and pretty easy to come up with but they had so many great songs in that short period of time, and they were still so popular in 1972, very popular duo, that they were the best-selling album. So very good best-selling album for the Greatest Hits. Number two, the best-selling studio album was Harvest by Neil Young. Again, like I said, great year for singer-songwriter type music. I don't know if I call this folk music. Has a little bit of folk style to it, I guess, compared to some of his other albums. But yeah, definitely Neil Young's probably maybe strongest album. Really great album. Probably my favorite Neil Young album. It was in my top 10 favorite albums of the year. Pretty high on the list, in fact. He had 3 kind of big hits on here. The big one, Heart of Gold. Man, that's a great song. Great acoustic number there. And then Old Man, it's probably my favorite Neil Young song. Love his vocals, love that chorus, and then Needle and Damage Done, dealing with, drug overdose and stuff like that. 3 pretty big songs that if you look on YouTube, you can see some really great live footage of him at a concert, and or live kind of taping of him playing these songs, just him and the acoustic guitar and like harmonica. It is so good. It's definitely his most acoustic guitar album, feels like. While Everyone Knows Is Nowhere definitely had more electric guitar solos and rocking songs. And After the Gold Rush, though, it does have a lot of more softer songs like this. It does have Southern Man, which is his probably most rocking song ever. So this is a little bit less rocking, a little more acoustic guitar, which I really love when he does this more stripped back type music anyway. So great album by him. Number 3, we got Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. I call it Ziggy Stardust. I know that's a huge name for this album, like Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars or something like that. But this whole, again, this is really like, really takes off with this album. It's a very popular album. I'm not a fan of David Bowie. I'm not a fan of this album. It does have Starman is the big hit, which is a very good song. And again, you look up on YouTube, there's that famous video of him in the Ziggy Stardust costume singing that Starman, ba 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 ba, very catchy song. Yeah, I really like that one. Besides that, I'm not big on this song, on this album overall, but a lot of people love this. This is definitely one of the biggest albums of this year. All my friends had it on their list as well in their top 10. I didn't. But yeah, this definitely starts his very popular glam rock phase that he has throughout the 70s. A lot of big hits with that. Yeah, this definitely, no surprise, one of the big albums of the year, and it's number 3 best-selling album of 1972. Number 4, we get the Best of Bread, so a Bread best of. Interesting enough, again, I like Bread. They have some really great songs. They actually come out with an album this year that made my top 10 called It's Everything I Own, or Baby I'ma Want You. Yeah, Baby I'ma Want You by Bread was made number 7 or number 8 on my list, which is a pretty good soft rock album, I'd say. Has 2 big hits on it, Baby I Want You, Everything I Own, on that album. But anyways, so it's interesting that we got a studio album the same year as this Best of Bread. So I didn't know Bread had enough songs at this point to come up with the best of already, because it's only 1972, as I know they're around that long. So it seems a little early for a best of when they already came out with an album with 2 big hits on it. But yeah, popular enough, number 4 on the list. Number 5, we got A Song for You by Carpenters. I didn't listen to this album, don't know much about it or what the big hits are on it. Carpenters, I think, made top 10 best-selling albums last year too, so definitely very popular band, evidently. I haven't really delved into. I have like a best of album that's really good from the Carpenters, and I have like a one studio album that's okay, but I'm not like the hugest fan. But yeah, I love their big hits, but I don't know if I've been a big fan of their albums, so I need to check more out. Number 6, we have Elvis as recorded at Madison Square Garden, so a live album from Elvis. Elvis still going strong in 1972. It still has some popularity here with this live album that I haven't heard yet. Number 7, we have A Hot August Night by Neil Diamond. I don't think I've listened to this album. I have like one of his albums, Stones, and I've heard maybe one other one. I do like Neil Diamond. I haven't heard all of his stuff though to know what are the best stuff from Neil Diamond. Lots of the big hits. I've just like best of album and all that. Number 8, another big album, one of the big albums of the year, and that is Machine Head by Deep Purple. This is definitely a very popular album, one of the most popular hard rock albums, I guess, out there. In fact, all 3 of my friends had it in their top 10, and one of them had it number 1 on a list. So my 3 friends are definitely bigger fans than I am. I'm not a fan of Deep Purple or their style or this album. It obviously has the huge hit, their biggest well-known signature song, Smoke on the Water, with maybe the most recognizable guitar riff of all time, the bum 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 ba-dum, bum 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 bum. Yeah, really good guitar riff. I mean, I think there was like a record where they had so many people play the riff at the same time. It was one of those where it's like always recognizable, most recognizable riff of all time. I like that song, but other than that, I'm not a big fan. But it is a huge popular album amongst more hard rock fans. I don't know if it's hard rock. I guess I call it hard rock. But and then number 9, we have They Only Come Out at Night by Edgar Winter. Edgar Winter, not somebody I'm very familiar with, so kind of surprising me at number 9. Didn't realize he was that popular. I'm not sure what genre he's a part of or much about what his big hits are. I didn't look it up before this, but yeah, number 9, Edgar Winter there. And then at the end of our top 10, we have Chicago 5. And I do like Chicago, but I haven't really enjoyed their albums that much. Chicago Trans Authority has some good hits, but they have so many jam songs. Same thing with Chicago 2. Definitely has some great songs on there, but it's a double album. Like, they're all double albums, and so they're all just too long. Chicago 3, I did not like at all. I don't remember if I probably listened to Chicago 5, but I don't remember much about it. But here at number 10, but I do like Chicago. Their hits anyways. So that's the top 10 best-selling albums of 1972. I would only say I'm surprised that, albums like Can't Buy a Thrill didn't make the top 10. Honky Chateau by Elton John didn't make the top 10. Volume 4 from Black Sabbath didn't make the top 10. I'm trying to think of some big albums here that I'm a little surprised with. You Don't Mess With Jim from Jim Croce didn't make it. Rocky Mountain High from John Denver. All very popular albums that did very well, sold very well, did not make top 10, surprisingly enough. We also have Paul Simon's debut album this year. Exile on Main Street by Rolling Stones. A huge album. I don't know how well it sold. It's a double album. I don't know if it was considered as great back then as it is now. Now I think people that are Rolling Stones fans really like that album and always see it on top, 100 lists all the time. But surprisingly, it did make top 10 there. Rolling Stones, I think, was very popular at this point. They're during that really popular period of music for them. It's a little more bluesy rock stuff. Stevie Wonder put out 2 big albums, Music on My Mind and Talking Book. Neither one made top 10. Transformer, Lou Reed. I don't know how popular the album is. It's very well received nowadays, but I don't know if it sold well. And also Foxtrot from Genesis. A lot of Genesis fans love Foxtrot. It was usually one of the favorite albums of Genesis fans. But those kind of albums don't do as well because progressive rock, I don't think, does well. At least because there's no big hits on the album. There's nothing's on the radio. All songs are too long to really play, so it's harder to get recognition, I think. I'm trying to think. See, Eagles had their debut album this year. Did not make top 10, but big one for them. Close to the Edge by Yes. I don't know how big that album was. I know my friends are big fans of that. Another prog rock album. I guess I should mention prog rock doing pretty well here. Yes, and Genesis. My friends really like those albums. Those are kind of the major ones I can think of that I'm kind of surprised didn't make it bigger on the top 10. So yeah, those are kind of the big albums of the year, I would say, that most people would put on their list. Let's look at the Grammy Album of the Year nominees. A very weird nominee list. One of the weirdest ones I've seen. The winner is the Concert for Bangladesh. So it's a concert, I guess, album or video. I guess it was an album put together from the concert that they put together, I guess maybe they did for other live stuff. I've never seen it, and I asked my friends, and none of them have this on, vinyl or CD, or I don't know if I've ever seen it at a record store. So I can't even find it on Spotify. So it's really hard to find this concert for Bangladesh, and it seems a little bit cheating. It's just a concert full of big stars. It's headed, of course, by George Harrison. It was his big charity kind of concert that he came up with for Bangladesh. And you have people like Eric Clapton on there, and Bob Dylan, Ringo Starr is on there, and I think Ravi Shankar, Billy Preston maybe. I don't know. So you have some big names on there that kind of, I guess make people interested in it. And maybe because it's for for a good cause, one Grammy Album of the Year. To me, it's kind of a weird. I don't like I like just studio albums winning. Not a big fan of putting out, even either movie soundtracks or live albums as winning the Grammy. That's a little weird to me. And it came out in 1971 as well, and so but it wins for 1972. So a little weird on that. We also got American Pie by Don McLean, which is another 1971 album, but nominated for 1972 for some reason. I would have loved that to win. I would have voted for that on this list anyway. So I would have voted for American Pie. Love that album. Made my list for 1971, top 10 favorite albums. And then here's the weirdest one. Jesus Christ Superstar original Broadway recording. If you saw my other video, Jesus Christ Superstar made the album Grammy of the Year last year in 1971, I believe. Might have been the movie version or something like that. I don't know. This is the Broadway. So Jesus Christ Superstar is nominated for Best Album 2 years in a row for 2 different versions of the album. And they really love Jesus Christ Superstar enough to nominate 2 years in a row, 2 different versions of it. I find that very weird, especially nominating the Broadway version. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we nominating that when, like I said, we have Ziggy Stardust and Harvest and Can't Buy a Thrill, some really big albums, some really good albums that, people really love should be here instead of that. Moods by Neil Diamond. Again, it's weird that we have 2 Neil Diamonds. Hot August Night made the top 10 best-selling albums, but was not nominated for Best Grammy Album of the Year. Instead, another Neil Diamond album, Moods, was nominated. That wasn't in the top 10. So it's like a little mixture of one the audience loved more, and Moods maybe more the critics loved. I don't know enough about Neil Diamond to know about Moods, so it's still strange that that got nominated instead of some of the other big albums I already mentioned. And then we closed out with Nielsen Schmilsen by Nielsen. Now, I had somebody commented on my video that I didn't mention Nielsen Schmilsen for 1971, so this must be like another 1971 album, maybe that was nominated for 1972. I'm sorry I didn't mention it. I heard the album. I thought it was okay, but it didn't make my top 10 favorite albums of the year. But I do like Nielsen's voice. He has a really good singing voice, and there's a really good documentary on him that I saw a while ago. He's a very interesting person, and this is definitely, like, I think it's a big album, Nielsen Schmilsen. There's another album I really like from him, actually. I think I like him better than this, and I'm forgetting the name of it. It was like, I won't remember the name of it on top of my mind, but there was another Nielsen, I can't remember his first name, but Nielsen's album that I kind of liked, almost made my top 10 of that year. But yeah, sorry I didn't mention Nielsen Schmilsen last time. I know he's yeah, very good artist. I don't know, I'm not as big on his albums so far that I've heard to make my top 10s anyways, but yeah. But he did get nominated for Grammy Album of the Year. So those are the 5 nominations. Very weird nomination year. A lot of big names, or big albums should have made it here, but didn't make it. So I would say, I always like to, if I was to critique or to grade them, this was a bad year for Grammy nominations. Did not reflect what were the big albums of the year and what we would consider the great albums of the year. So I don't think they were reflected what we loved in society as we loved in music. So another bad year for Grammys, not being able to reflect what society liked anyways, which they do quite a bit. Anyways, I like to end the video talking about what big events happened in 1972. I don't really have that many big events, to be honest, just a couple. No big deaths this year. The last couple years I've had really big names dying, but first event I have is on February 9th. Paul McCartney's new band Wings. He forms a new band, Wings, at this point. Though he came out with Ram and McCartney, it was before he started this band, but this is the point where he wants his own band, kind of like the Beatles. He want to have, I don't know, he want to have that kind of camaraderie or something, and so he starts Wings, and he actually debuts at University in Nottingham, which is his first live appearance since 1966, which is kind of cool because McCartney, the Beatles, stopped touring in 1966, and so they didn't play really live at all, except for like on the concert. You call that like the last live performance. You can barely call that. Just a couple songs on top of the roof, in front of whoever was listening. So not exactly an official concert or anything, or live performance. And some TV tapings here and there, but besides that, he hadn't really done a tour of any kind since then. And so 1972 is the first time he's kind of gone out and started touring, which is kind of funny. He started off going to universities, like this is the University of Nottingham, which is, it's so bizarre that, you're at a university and Paul McCartney shows up, one of the Beatles, one of the most popular, most famous musicians of all time, shows up at university and is like, hey, do you mind if my band plays in your venue? You're like, geez, yeah, you're Paul McCartney, come on in, and what if you're like you're a student and you're like, oh my God, I get to listen to Paul McCartney at my university, like if you showed up at Wichita State University, I'd be like, yeah, like that'd be awesome. But that's what he did. He like went around and just kind of showed up. I don't think he really like planned ahead too much. He was just like showed up like, hey, do you mind if we play? And they're like, yeah, of course. And Paul McCartney, of course, acts like, I didn't know if they wanted to hear me or not. It's like, of course they do. You're a Beatle, for goodness sakes. But yeah, so it's kind of funny how he started out just going to universities and kind of impromptu concerts. But I believe at first he didn't play any Beatles songs. There was still some bad, blood from the whole Beatles breakup between him and the other Beatles, and they were suing each other, and still some, not happy, and still I think he wanted to maybe, distance himself a little bit from the Beatles at that point. So I know he didn't like play any Beatles songs, which kind of sucks if you're like watching him. You're like, I'm sure they'll like play Yesterday, play Hey Jude, but he only played, his stuff. But his stuff is still really good, so it still would be a great concert if he was just playing stuff from McCartney and Ram Like, I would listen to a concert just of those songs. There's enough really good stuff from there, and whatever else he was working on for his new album, I guess. But yeah, so I don't know when, I forget when he started playing Beatles songs. It was a little while before he started playing Beatles songs again, anyways, and all that. But anyways, so I find that kind of interesting. On February 10th, as I mentioned already, David Bowie introduces his Ziggy Stardust persona. So the very next day after February 9th. Yeah, as mentioned, David Bowie starts this, creating a character, put makeup on. And like I said, this is kind of the glam rock period. We see a lot of this. Kiss would do this later on, or maybe, I don't know when they started, but they started sometime in the 70s, and they would make it very popular, all this, face paint and costuming, very theatrical, like, period of the 70s. And yeah, and of course Queen didn't dress up. Freddie Mercury did kind of dress up a little bit, but he didn't wear makeup. But still, he's very theatrical, I suppose, in his performances. But we're definitely getting these very theatrical performances, much different than the 60s, which was more wearing suits and, stuff like that. Now we're getting a little more personality, maybe like almost, I wonder if it's like a backlash against what was happening in the 60s, which is a little more conservative, a little more, playing for the parents. And now in the 70s, we're playing for the hippies. Like, we're all, drugs are very, out there now. And now we're going to get a little more flamboyant with our performances and our costuming, and kind of go the other direction, as, kind of, we went too far this way, now we're going to go far this way, I feel like. But yeah, so we started that with Dave Bowie here. February 23rd, Elvis and Priscilla separate. So Elvis, I don't know when they got married, but I know Priscilla was very young. She was like 15 or something. And so it was a little weird how young she was when I think she got married, or was at least dating Elvis, who was a grown man at that point. So I'm sure it wasn't the greatest thing for Priscilla. She got to be famous, or got to be married to someone famous, but definitely got some of her childhood taken away from her, and probably lived under scrutiny and all that. And yeah, but they separate here on February 23rd. May 8th, Billy Preston becomes first rock performer to headline Radio City Music Hall. So Radio City Music Hall, very famous in New York City. A lot of, for rock performances like that. But this is the first one, Billy Preston, who, of course, played with the Beatles, and I know him from the Beatles, and he had some big hits at this point. He would appear on Saturday Night Live, the very first Saturday Night Live, 75, so that's a couple years from now, and he had some big hits by then. But yeah. November 3rd, we have James Taylor marries Carly Simon. So two great singer-songwriters getting married. They had I'm sure, a tumultuous relationship, as they were, I know James Taylor had drug issues and all that, but what a good singing couple, and two great songwriters, two great singers. Anyways, I don't know how long their marriage lasts. I know it probably didn't last too long, but great, what do you call it, power couple in music. And the last event I have is, well, kind of two put in one, but two bands break up. One is CCR. CCR puts out one of the worst albums of all time, Mardi Gras, where not only does John Fogerty's brother quit the band and not even on that album, they were not getting along in the last album before that. But his brother breaks up, and then they never play together again, and they have like a falling out, the two brothers. But the bass player and the drummer or whatever wanted more say, and wanted to sing more on the albums, or wanted to write more, because John Fogerty basically did all the writing of the songs. He sang the songs and all that, and for good reason. He was a good songwriter, great singer, great rock singer. And so he's like, fine, I'll let you guys write the songs and sing them. And it's horrible. They cannot sing, the bass player and the drummer. And they put out some really terrible music. Except there's one really good song on that album that's done by John Fogerty. He does like maybe one or two songs on the album. The album is one of the worst albums ever made, probably by a good band. And definitely a terrible end to that band. So obviously after that album just totally flopped and bombed. They broke up as a band, and I don't think ever got back together again. Really, Fogerty started his solo career at that point. The other members went and did their own thing, but yeah. So, and CCR, one of those bands that only made 7 albums, I think, and so it was It doesn't feel like they were, and they made 3 of them in 1 year, like 69, I think they made like 3 albums. So they did in a very short amount of time and were gone. It was weird. It's one of those lightning in the bottles. Like they made a bunch of, I mean, pretty good albums. Cosmos Factory was great. Willie and the Poor Boys is really good, I think, as well. You know, very popular albums, lots of huge hits, and then they were gone. Just like other bands like The Police and Simon Garfunkel kind of all follow that. The other band that breaks up is Jefferson Airplane, one of the biggest psychedelic rock bands. Their debut album, I believe it is pretty good. Which I'm forgetting the name of it at the moment. That's the only one I kind of like, is their first album that has great. It's probably not their first album. It's the first album they have with Grace Slick, with is it the? Now I'm forgetting the name of the White Rabbit or something, or White Room or whatever. And then you got Want Someone to Love, whatever. Anyways, 2 really big hits on that album. My friend Nick loves Jefferson Airplane. It's like one of his favorite bands. He loves a lot of their psychedelic albums. A lot of their psychedelic albums are a little too psychedelic for me. I can't get into them. It's a little too weird, a little too experimental, but definitely a big band for that period, the late 60s kind of period. But didn't last too long, I guess. 72, they break up. I think they restarted as a new band, maybe. I haven't looked too much up on them, so I can't say too much, but my friend Nick knows more about their history. But anyways, so 2 big bands breaking up in 1972. And then I'll end on what new artist had debut, who debuted this year. So always some big names. We got America debuting with their album. I think it's called America. It was a pretty good album. Rick Springfield, known for Jesse's Girl, debuts this year. Also was a soap opera actor. We got Blue Oyster Cult, the band that we now say we need more cowbell. It started out here. Steely Dan, of course, with their huge album Can't Buy a Thrill, one of my favorite albums of the year. Eagles with their debut album Eagles, which definitely more country rock at this point, with 2 big hits, Peaceful Easy Feeling and Take It Easy. Harry Chapin, one of my favorite singer-songwriters, coming out this year as well. Dan Fogelberg, another great singer-songwriter, debuting. And Jackson Browne. I mean, you got 3 great singer-songwriters right there. And Jackson Browne would, co-write Take It Easy and do a version of himself. And he has some great albums coming up. Lou Reed with Transformer, which is a very popular album amongst glam rock fans. And Styx also debuted this year as well. So that's the end of what happened in 1972. Feel free to comment on anything I missed and that you think I should have mentioned. And what's your favorite band or artist that came out this year? Love to hear anybody's thoughts on this. And just thank you so much for watching this. Hope you enjoyed. Again, learned a little bit about the year and my thoughts on it. And definitely check out our top 10 albums of 1972, my live stream I did. You can look it up, and the live videos are on a playlist that I put together for this anyway. So thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to everybody liking the video. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. Appreciate all of you.